Thank you. I now recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Garbarino, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having this hearing. Thank you to all the witnesses for being here. Mr. Harris, it's good to see you. We spent some time together last week. I wanted to ask you about the National Association of Home Builders recently put out an interesting study that seeks to qualify the costs of government regulations to new single-family homes. Not only do onerous regulations make development more expensive, but they also have added the effect of delaying projects, which has its own costs. Has there been a trend of increasing regulatory costs in the construction industry over the past few years?
Yes, that trend has been increasing, not only in regulation, but the regulation on suppliers and on labor, since we've seen the costs of labor go up, materials, we've seen local and federal regulations. I mentioned earlier WOTUS, EPA, the Endangered Species Act. Those are at the national level, but locally, requirements from local municipalities and jurisdictions as they both delay or add on other requirements that are onerous.
So these regulations affect you not just during construction, during development too, during the plan.
Oh, absolutely. The development costs have been rising probably faster than the rate of construction as we seek to develop a piece of property. Those meetings that used to have zoning by right now seem to have it by committee. And so we're constantly having hearings and continued hearings as groups of Not in My Backyard or others try to slow down development. So whatever the federal government can do to encourage communities to encourage quality development would be very helpful.
I believe the chairman asked about it before, but I know we talked about it last week. The energy regulation that's being proposed. Can you explain what that would do to the costs of a new home?
Certainly. The International Energy Conservation Code 2021, which was put forth as a requirement by HUD and USDA, and now is being considered by FHFA for all the GSEs, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which provide financing for 72% of the 30-year financing out there. We believe it's going to cost in the neighborhood of $31,000 for the cost of each house, with a payback of somewhere between 70 and 90 years, depending on who you use. Now, if we were to use what HUD had come up with, the 7,200 plus or minus that they think that is, that's still significant. Our economists tell us for every time you raise the cost of a house $1,000, you lock out approximately 100,000 families. So even using HUD's numbers of 7,000, you're locking out almost 750,000 families from the medium-priced home. That, I think, would go against HUD's mission and definitely outside FHFA's mission.
I appreciate that, and I agree with you very much. Mr. Schlomer, following the direction of the administration, the Federal Housing Finance Agency announced a set of tenant protections to address egregious rent increases, as they said, in the enterprise multifamily programs. In your opinion, do these actions and similar pushes for implementing rent controls result in more or less housing being built?
Thank you, Congressman. As I mentioned earlier, any attempts or any regulation that imposes rent controls has well-documented result of cutting back on housing supply. There are many items that have been proposed that go to tenant resident well-being that the industry has already adopted and that we are actively promoting as professional managers who seek to enhance our resident experience. It's good business to enhance the resident experience, but we cannot be adding new housing stock in areas, or certainly it would occur if it was imposed nationally, to have any kind of rent caps that simply have been clearly proven to prohibit and prevent new development.
Now, there's no better place to look than in New York City and what rent control has done there. I'm out of time. I yield back. Thank you.
Thank the gentleman. I now recognize the gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Velasquez, for 5 minutes.